Hi folks, welcome to Inktober day 7. As you can see up behind me, there are all the pieces I've done so far. I better not show you the one that I have finished because you're going to see that after this, the one I'm doing today, which is Apollo. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the ones I've done so far. I think there's been a bit of a progression and I'm learning as I go what I'm doing with the medium and all of that, but I will talk more about the process in the video, so let's get on with it. So here we are, 1 week in, and the prompt is Apollo, as I said before. And I'd already done the line art, as usual, but yeah, with this one there's a lot going on. So I've got various lines going across the piece, which I didn't want to smudge out too much. I didn't want to smudge out too much of the pencil using the Copic markers, so I was quite careful to go around that as much as possible, not go over it too much, so that I could still see and do what I needed to. So Apollo is the god of the sun, and it kind of made sense to make him a little bit tanned. He's not super tanned, actually. Maybe I should have made his skin a bit darker, but it's done now, so we'll have to live with that. I'm still sort of learning about using these Copic markers for skin, and in some places it's easier than others, so I think I've got a bit better at doing it on the face. But yeah, here we've got hands and we've got a shadow under the hands and all of that, so yeah, we'll see how successful this is. But Apollo is the twin of Artemis, so I wanted to sort of make them a pair, at least enough where, you know, they look like they were related. So here I've gone in and used that kind of golden colour on his hair, and I didn't start with a grey this time, which I maybe would have made them match a bit more, but I'm much happier with the result of his hair than I was with hers. But the grey was only really an issue to do with the sort of balance and warmth, or lack thereof, in the piece. So here what I'm doing is I'm going in with a pencil and marking in all those lines with a really hard pencil. So I'm using quite a lot of pressure. And that is so that when I go over this with the black, it'll still show up. So you can see a little bit up in the corner where I've put that black in. So it just means that I don't lose that line art and have to make it up as I go along. So yeah, you can still see it enough that when I go over it with the copper or the gold, it will, you know, I still have a guide to work with. And the other thing is you've got these lines going across the way with the sort of grey background, which I make some different decisions on a bit later, but we'll get to that. I thought that it might give it a little bit more depth to have some other lines happening, but actually it didn't work out the way I'd hoped, which is okay. But when you're working traditionally, it's harder to manipulate those sorts of things later on, so I just decided to scrap it. Anyway, with this one I wanted to use a lot of gold, make it kind of sunshiny a bit, I guess, because he is the god of the sun after all, and it made sense that the whole thing was very kind of golden. But of course I've still used that that dark background that I usually use, but you know, that's okay. Yeah, so here I'm going in, adding a bit more detail to the hair. I'm quite enjoying doing hair in these markers, actually. That's working pretty well. And then something I've done a bit differently here is I have undone the masking tape, so unstuck it from the table just to give me a bit more room to move around, because to do these lines I really need to rotate the page it would be really hard to get them consistent without doing that and without smudging everywhere, which was definitely a risk here. If my hair wasn't getting in the way, that would be great, but that's okay. So we've got a kind of halo, sunshiny halo kind of thing happening. One thing I do regret with this piece was not just sticking with one metallic, because I go back in and do gold as well as the copper. I actually think it would have been better just sticking with the one, but that's okay. I didn't have time to go back over all of it and repaint it in copper. But the gold made a lot of sense for Apollo, again, the sun, all of that. So, oh, and here, so I've made the decision to get rid of those grey areas and just paint, well, draw over it with first the Copic marker and then the copper ink, which I just love so much. I love this ink. It's beautiful consistency. It works really well with this pen. I think I made fewer errors with this pen this time around. I'm learning to use the right amount of ink on the pen, and then using a fine brush as well. That's something I'm learning too, is that using this kind of thicker line outside outside the outline on the outline around the outside really works well for me, and it sort of brings it together. It makes it feel a bit more designy, I guess, if that makes sense. Rather than trying to be too realistic. It's quite a sort of Art Nouveau look that I quite enjoy. And that's probably about all I need to say about the process of this. But I was wondering what you guys would like me to talk about in these videos, because there's only so much of the process I can talk about, and obviously I can talk too much about that, but yeah, we've got a lot of days left, so it would be quite nice for me to be able to talk about something that would actually be useful to you, be interesting to you. I mean, if you do find the process talk interesting and useful, then let me know, but I know that a lot of you aren't necessarily artists as your main thing, so yeah, if there's anything else you'd like me to chat about, maybe books I've been reading, things like that, do let me know in the comments. And yeah, we've got lots of prompts left. This is only day 7 of 31. I'm a bit ahead of myself at the moment, so I'm recording this voiceover a little bit later, or a little bit early, sorry. Yeah, so today is the 5th of October and this isn't going up for a few days yet, but that's okay. I'm working ahead just to keep my sanity intact. But yeah, I'm really happy actually with how his face looks particularly. I think he's got that lovely youthful look to him, a little bit stylized, but not too much. And I mean, it's really the metallics, let's be honest. Yeah, I kind of think that you put gold foil or gold ink on anything, it's gonna make it look better. I should also say that this place is an absolute mess at the moment. That's what happens with Inktober, unfortunately. I've actually bought a separate desk so that I can keep my my traditional art stuff separate to my computer stuff, again, for the sake of sanity. I do not like having it this busy and kind of messy, but it's very difficult because there are lots of different tools I'm using for this. And then of course, yeah, the tripod here and everything. Yeah, I've got my day 9 on the table over here at the moment, so that is coming up in a few days time, and tomorrow's prompt is Medusa, which I'm super excited about, and I think this might be the best one yet. It's a little bit different again, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I took a bit of a risk and I think it paid off. So anyway, I will see you then. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you'd like me to talk about in coming time lapses, so that I don't bore you all silly. Alright, bye.